reminded me, like I met few people in Mumbai, in Goa.
Yeah.
The kind of awe that they used to have about Rajasthan was on different level. Like they loved the entire country, no
Right.
doubt about that. But the kind of awe, the way they used to define Rajasthan, they used to talk about it. And even since I have been here in Jaipur since yesterday, the way people talk to each other, I have been too much fascinated with that too. Though,
No, it is very cultured.
But I don't want to obviously replicate it, so it will look inauthentic on me. But I wish that wow, maybe I was here. I used to talk like that. That was something that came.
So
to
I
me.
feel the same for you also because मैं एक बहुत urbanized upbringing हुआ है मेरा. तो I can of course speak in the language and understand it and speak my tuta puta Rajasthani. I speak with my grandmother. But I totally understand what you're saying because I've also been brought up in different places and there is no place like
Tell
Rajasthan
me about
when it comes
too,
to
a little bit.
Yeah, there is no place like Rajasthan when it comes to maintaining culture, maintaining traditions, and just sort of, and which of course has changed now. And I think we're as bad as the next when it comes to maintaining our heritage and history. But now everything is moving more towards monetary gain than anything else.
Yeah.
But sorry, no, you were saying.
No, I was just asking. Tell me a little bit about your life journey too.
So I was basically born in Jaipur. My family is from here, but my dad was working in the tea gardens in the east of India. And at the time, it was quite funny. I mean, that's what my father's told me, that the people from the Rajput community, of course, if you were a Raja or a Rawat, or you had your own fiefdom and you had to take care of your property, you could do that. But the other two sort of occupations for the Rajputs were, of course, joining the military, which is either the army, the navy, or the air force.
Right.
Primarily army, but I have a granduncle who actually rose to become the admiral of the navy, so there is that legacy as well. But बहुत सारे लोग basically tea gardens join करते थे, where they were made to
manage that estate,
manage tea estates, which was very similar to आपने घर पे जो देखा है. So a lot of people from the Rajput community went to the tea gardens, worked in Assam, worked in Bengal. So my father was one of them, and he got transferred to Calcutta when I was very, very young. So मेरी upbringing काफी till I was 10, 11 Calcutta में हुई है, इसीलिए मेरा accent ऐसा है. Because Calcutta is very anglicized.
Right.
I remember in my school we had to put a 5 rupee coin if you would speak in Hindi.
Oh,
and it was sadly, which I regret now, but it was almost that we have to speak in English, and English
was it a convent school?
It was St. James's School.
Yeah, those rules were there in Delhi and NCR too.
Yeah. But Calcutta, being this hub of the British, it has a very anglicized culture as well, and maybe that sort of somehow.
It carried on.
Yeah, carried on in a way that. So when I shifted out here, basically, and I joined this boarding school called Mayo College, where my father and family studied. And
where is it? I have heard.
That is in Ajmer. It's about 2 hours.
Right.
It's in the center of Rajasthan, but it was the only sort of territory which was under the British. Others were all under a Raja, Maharaja, a Thakur, a Nawab. There was one Nawab in Rajasthan, the Nawab of Tonk.
Okay.
Who was placed there basically to create friction between the Rajput princes. We can get to that if we get time or the next time. But I'm sorry, I forgot what I was talking about.
Mayo College.
So Mayo College. Yeah. So I was sent to Mayo then, and I finished my schooling from there, and where I was exposed to the wealth of what Rajasthan is all about, whether it's stories, its people, its culture, its tradition, its clothes, its language, its food, its weapons. And the way that they've documented and maintained it is fabulous. So my first sort of fascination was when I joined Mayo. And then of course because I tend to read a little bit, so I started reading a lot. I started doing a lot of research on my own family because my parents were not so interested in this. And considering that our grandparents and all were at the time when independence was happening, there was almost a sort of thing that you don't want to associate yourselves with the past, with the feudal past. And so modern thinking became to reject
people
a lot
of
your culture and tradition, especially the Rajputs.
Right.
If you see even Bollywood movies and everyone, all the villains were some Singh or some Thakur, or so this sort of, and I feel maybe at one time it may have been necessary to balance out.
No, I don't.
But I mean, just to give the benefit of doubt, but it continued, And many of these scholars now say that the history has been most unkind to the Rajputs when it comes to their valor and their courage. And that's another point of my research, is trying to do as much as I can and finding out more and more and bringing it to light. These sort of incredible, like I said in my last podcast,
in a way that has been done to us.
Absolutely, and if you really see, it is. I mean, Game of Thrones is nothing when you talk about the stories of the Rajputs, and there is intrigue, there is politics, there is valor, there is death, there is nobility, there is honor,
and there is righteousness too. I would emphasize on that.
Absolutely, all the time, And
they didn't leave the path of dharma.
Never. I mean, a lot of people ask that so many old civilizations, why did they collapse within 50 years, 60 years? One generation may change. Whether you see Persia, whether you see South America, why is it that the Indian subcontinent, the Indic civilization has still lasted in some form, in most of its form till date, is because our Rajas and Maharajas refused to convert.
And they were backed by their populace.
And they were backed by the population. And again, I spoke about this in my last thing. When independence was happening, there was basically little or no revolt. If you've seen any other transfer of power, there's always been a massacre of the royal family.
I was just talking about this with the Viren.
You have, all right, and he's a stalwart when it comes to that. But I mean, and nobody talks about this, which is the funny part. The things they try and sort of target us is, oh, you guys were alcoholics, and you guys
not
were.
Even independence, if we go back for thousands of years, we haven't seen that happening ever.
Nowhere at all, So, I mean, the Rajputs, without trying to blow our own trumpet, I think if people really do without any prejudice or stereotypes, if they read about the Rajputs, it's fascinated people before, and it will continue fascinating people if you look at it with a very sort of non-prejudiced way.
Even James Todd, when he did that, I think it was I have heard and I have read about it, that those two books was the catalyst which you have, since you have lived in Calcutta.
Right.
Those two books are the catalyst for Calcutta Renaissance or Bengal Renaissance. And that was the reason that they had to leave Calcutta and shift their capital to Delhi, because otherwise they would not have been able to sustain there.
So we owe a lot to James Todd.
Opposite side on the country.
Imagine.
People are getting inspired by that.
So that's how, I mean, that's why we are a nation that are so proud, because we've all inspired each other in some capacities, in some ways.
And he has made lots of mistakes and blunders in that.
So Jodha Akbar wala myth is basically James Todd's creation. But for James Todd, what he did for the Rajputs is immense. Although he not hated, it's too strong a word, but disliked Jaipur. So there's James Todd's documentation of Jaipur is, I would tell people not to read it, because it's just very unacademic.
Why so?
Because there are two reasons. One is that James Todd sort of spent most of his time in Udaipur and Mewar.
Right.
And the Mewaris, because of the old history between Jaipur and Mewar, have a sort of way of looking at Jaipur. Not, of course, anymore. The second more interesting reason is that Jaipur was not coming under the protectorate of the British. They were the last people to sign the treaty. And so he was little peeved off and wanted to, tighten the screws and needle them. And so he made them out to be very non-honorable sort of ancestors of theirs. And so I've done research. There's enough people who have point by point refuted James Todd is sort of... So despite us owing a lot to the man, I mean, the British thought he was half Rajput himself. They had to send him back to England, because he thought he's going to sort of conspire with us and then attack the British. But there are also a lot of misconceptions, especially when it comes to Jaipur, when it comes to James Todd. And I still have these arguments with people. And nowadays everyone's become so sort of stuck sometimes on their thoughts that to explain one thing, it always leads to a sort of aggressive argument. So that is one point to James Todd, that I do, being a person from Jaipur who's studying and learning and researching the history and heritage of Jaipur. That's one injustice that's been done to the Jaipur rulers. Apart from that, whether you talk about the geography, there's no one who's explained the geography of especially the central west states like James Todd has.
I mean, there are lots of credit that has to be given to him, but then there are
like everybody. I mean,
too.
He was given a village.
He was an outsider. We have to give him.
He was given a village in Mewar, Todgarh. Have you heard of?
No, I have not.
There is a place named after Todd called Todgarh, and now bolte in the local boli, wo Tadgarh ho gaya.
Okay.
But there still is with a little gadi named after James Todd.
Todd is not something that we can pronounce. It's not our people. could
There's some
pronounce.
interesting. Jaipur has one of, you know what a Thekana is? Thekana were the feudal estates under the. Jaipur has a Portuguese Thekanedar, the Silva, who came from Portugal, and they were given a Jagir, as they say.
I mean, that
and they
I
still
can,
stay here.
Imagine, but Todgad I was not a fan.
Todgad is and a beautiful area, very, very beautiful scenery and hills and jungle.
Because even at that time, even Ranjit Singh ji and many other kings too, they used to take help of Westerners, or so to say, other European countries
Of course.
in making their strategy for the army.
Deeply entrenched at the time, whether it was the French or the Armenians or the
Dutch or
Germans or the
Portuguese.
Dutch, all. 1757 to 1857 in India was a very sort of interesting time, for a lack of a better word, but हाँ बहुत कुछ हो रहा था उस time में.
Lots of turmoil, yeah. So there is a recent, I think, development. I'm not sure if you have heard about it. I think government has done some changes that they are trying to make the heritage management system some sort of private and
So P2P, public and private sort of undertaken,
sort of partnership.
PPU.
Have you read about it? Have you any hopes from it?
I have read about it. I mean, it's a good move.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. As long as there is enough sort of guidelines and the guidelines are followed, I think it's much required, because the government doesn't have the...
No, ASI doesn't have that.
ASI is not even for heritage. It's an archaeological survey of India. Archaeology
But
is
they are
digging.
controlling it.
They are, I mean, but it's not fair to them also in a way, because they are understaffed. And the amount of wealth that we have, I feel we should have a heritage ministry in India, which we don't, which is just basic job is to sort of safeguard the interests of these heritage sites and structures and
Makes
places and recipes and anything related to culture and heritage should be sort of looked into with more seriousness, I feel. But wo ASI bicharo ko de rakha hai, they have to dig, they are digging now, so they will neglect the other places. So anyway, it's a mess.